a difficult one to sort of self-study, I think, because although the importance of practicing can really help you, often you need to know different techniques, and you probably can use these techniques in your first language, but it's about being able to apply them to English and to the exam. And often people say to me in the reading, I mean, it's about you being able to manage your time. That's one of the things that's really important. So one of the first things we like to encourage students to focus on is the skills that you need for the different questions. And might require you to scan the information to find an exact answer, maybe a name or a date or a piece of information. They also then might need you to read around the sentences that you've found to decide if something's true or false. So you might need to read paragraphs for detail, or you might just need to read the whole document very quickly to get a general idea. So that's sort of skimming, scanning, and reading for detail. And different questions require you to do different things. And you certainly don't have time to read the 3 documents. I mean, you're talking a few thousand words plus questions. Don't have time to read all the texts, and you don't need to. Some questions you need to skim it very, very quickly. Others you need to read parts in more detail, but you're certainly not reading all the text. So different questions require different skills, and you need to identify and then practice those skills for the so each question, matching paragraphs to headings is skimming for gist, and multiple choice could be a mixture of a bit of skimming to find a general area, and then reading for a bit more detail. True, false, not given are going to be reading for detail. So you need to identify the skills. Different questions have different skills. So build up a keyword map. When you're skim reading very, very quickly through parts of the text, you want to actually draw on the paper and write off keywords that summarize what's happening in the text. We always say draw and write the words around the text, not underline, because if you underline, then you're going back with your finger to go through the text, and it's wasting a lot of time. So as you're skim reading very, very quickly, look for keywords. Often the idea of the paragraph is going to be in that first or second sentence, and you can then quickly identify what piece of information is where in the text without having to read it again and again and again. Because as we said earlier on, you just don't have time, and you're not expected to. It's testing your ability to read. So using reading skills to answer the questions that they've given you. And thirdly, practice as much as possible. If you're not doing very well in the beginning, then don't worry about the time. Practice the different questions and the skills that you need. Then start practicing to the time limit. And then, and really important, is to check your answers of what's right and what's wrong. And with the questions that you've got wrong, go back to the text and try and figure out why you've got it wrong. This is really important, especially with true, false, not given, which are the most difficult. This false or not given, it's difficult for me, it's difficult for everyone. But try and understand why you've got it wrong and what the text is actually saying, so that you can start to recognize the simple mistakes that you're making. Often it's going to be based on not what you think are keywords, so not these important nouns or verbs, but maybe like qualifiers like majority or a third or over half. These kind of words, it's these kind of words that are going to be different or the same in the text, especially for true, false, not given. So that's the kind of, you want to be finding out what you've done wrong and working out why it's wrong. And that will help you in the future to improve. Okay, the first thing sounds a bit silly, but you need to speak as much as possible. If you want to get a high score, you need to be getting up to 2 minutes for the part 2. You need to be providing 2 or 3 sentences in part 1 to each question, and maybe 4 or 5 per question in part 3. So speak as much as possible. Whatever you do, say it in English. So if you don't understand the question, say it in English. I'm sorry, do you mean, or can you repeat the question, please? You know, don't go, but ask politely in English, because it is a formal exam. But as long as you're doing your whatever's coming out of your mouth is in English, it really doesn't matter. We're not expecting, as a native speaker, if I was to do the exam, I wouldn't be able to answer the questions. Sometimes I need to think about it. So you say, oh, let me think, that's a difficult question. Well, in my opinion, or I believe, but make sure you're doing it in English. And finally, pronunciation. This is one of the things that it's something the examiner will mark you on. And it isn't just the pronunciation of the words, it's the intonation, about whether you're putting the stress in a sentence in the correct place, whether your words are going up and down in the right place. You really need to be thinking about pronunciation as a whole thing, rather than just making sure that you pronounce individual words. So we're talking about in English how we would join words together, how we would have weak sounds or strong sounds, and you really need to be understanding what features of pronunciation the examiner are looking for. And so, as we always say, I've got mine, have your band descriptors, always have them, make sure you understand exactly what the examiner is looking for. So often one of the questions that we get asked is to get people up from a 6.5 to a 7, and for some people it doesn't seem a lot, that half a mark, but it can be unless you know exactly what you need to do, it's really difficult to push yourself up. What we try and do, apart from sort of, you know, focusing on the individual with the feedback in the essay correction, is we want to provide sort of general advice and general ideas. So as always, I say it every time, and if you've been here with me before, you're probably sick of me saying it, but I can't say it enough, is to make sure you understand the band descriptors. The examiners have very detailed band descriptors, but the ones that are available to you, got mine again, the ones that are available to you are giving you enough information that you need to understand what you have to do to get a band 7. So understand the band and look at your own work and try and identify what you are not doing at band 7. What are you doing at 6 that you're not doing, and what's not pulling you up to a band 7? Because it can be different depending on each person. But overall, there's some things that we see again and again and again. So one of the first things that we focus on is answering all parts of the question correctly. And it seems really obvious, but you'd be surprised how many students either don't relate their answer to the statement in the question, that talk about something else, that are only talking, if it's asking you for both opinions, or only talking about one opinion, or they're not equally talking about advantages and disadvantages. So you've got to make sure that you address all parts of the task. If you don't, you will not get higher than a 6. You must, at band 7, answer all parts of the question correctly. And as I said, you would be surprised how many students don't. Within that, you need to present, extend and support your ideas. And as Marie said when she was talking about her classes with Louise, we do a lot of encouragement and exercises on how to support and extend your ideas. Again, if you're not doing this and you're not answering all parts of the question, it's no higher than a band 6. A range of grammar and vocabulary. I've put these together because it's that key word of range. It's no good having some vocabulary. You need at band 7 a wide range of vocabulary and a wide range of grammar. You need to be thinking about lots of different tenses. If you only use the present simple throughout your essay, then that would indicate to me as an examiner that that's the only tense that you know. You need to be looking at how you can get a range of grammar. And you also need to have a lot of collocations and less common words. But by less common, we don't mean complicated. We don't mean words of 10 syllables. we mean not the simple, obvious words. So instead of, you know, thinking about, what's an example we could use? Instead of thinking about sort of rich, you could talk about wealth, or you know, material belongings, or money, or being able to use monies correctly, as we know that money is mainly used in an uncountable way. So it's that's what we mean by this less common words. It doesn't have to be long and complicated words, but just not sort of big, happy, good, nice. So more formal, less common words are really important for your vocabulary. The number of mistakes you make in vocabulary and grammar will bring you down. You can only really be looking at a few mistakes in vocabulary and a few mistakes in grammar if you want to secure a band 7. You're allowed a few errors at band 7, so don't think it has to be perfect. It doesn't. But the more mistakes you have, the further down you're going to start going. And again, if you're trying to use complex grammar structures, or you're trying to use more difficult words and you get them wrong, you'll get a band 6. You'll be given the credit for trying, but you need to be using them correctly at band 7. And again, the third one, clear and organized paragraphs. Without paragraphs, you are looking, and without a clear and organized essay, you're looking at around a band 5. Your paragraphs need to have a topic sentence, and they need to be developed fully if you hope to get a band 7. So we've sort of talked about each descriptor. Number 1 is covering sort of task achievement. Number 3, coherence and cohesion. And we've looked at number 2 of this range of grammar and vocabulary. So get the band descriptors, look at what you should be doing, look at your own work, and look at what you're not doing. That's really important. And then, you know, the practicing and getting feedback will really very quickly point out what mistakes you're making, and you'll be advised what you need to do to get up to a band 7.